The Russia-Ukraine war has lasted for over 3 years, and the current tug-of-war situation is not accidental, but the inevitable result of the strategic game between China, the United States, Russia, and Europe. The core logic of this conflict has always centered on preventing European integration. Once the EU's industry and capital are integrated with Russia's resources and force, a trans-Eurasian superpower will emerge at the historic moment, which will directly impact the US's European hegemony and US dollar position, and will also hinder the advancement of China's the Belt and Road Initiative, squeezing the strategic space for the resumption of the Silk Road. From a historical and geopolitical perspective, China has always been wary of potential pressure on its northern border, while the United States, although a competitor, faces a vast Pacific Ocean that makes it difficult to form a comprehensive military threat. In contrast, the radiation power of European integration will directly affect the Middle East and Central Asia, disrupting China's regional strategic layout. For the United States, the Russo-Ukrainian war is an opportunity to integrate NATO and strengthen control over Europe, which can effectively prevent the process of European integration. Therefore, the stalemate between Russia and Ukraine is actually the optimal solution that meets the interests of both China and the United States. Although China and the United States have different strategic goals on the Russia-Ukraine issue, they have formed an implicit consensus. Russia cannot collapse, otherwise the Western strategic focus will shift eastward and directly point to East Asia. Russia cannot win either, otherwise Europe will be forced to reintegrate, which goes against the strategic expectations of both China and the United States. For the United States, the presence of Russia is the key to maintaining the cohesion of NATO. Without Russia as a rival, the significance of NATO's existence will be greatly weakened. At the same time, the United States will never allow Russia to win, otherwise it will be completely driven out of the European continent, and the hegemony of the US dollar will also be directly challenged by the euro. For Russia, NATO's eastward expansion has pushed security threats to its doorstep, and counterattack is an inevitable choice. At the same time, this war is also an important opportunity for Putin to consolidate domestic consensus, which is in line with his national governance and strategic demands. The EU, on the other hand, is deeply trapped in a passive position and has almost no independent choice between the three major powers of China, the United States, and Russia. The bombing of Nord Stream Line 2 and the direct talks between Russia and the United States have highlighted Europe's lack of qualification to negotiate at the table. After the outbreak of war, Europe faced multiple challenges such as increased financial burden, social fragmentation, and industrial relocation, and was no longer able to intervene in Eastern affairs. China's refusal to directly intervene in the Russia-Ukraine conflict is in essence a dual necessity of strategic positioning and diplomatic principles. China has always adhered to the diplomatic policy of non-alignment, non-confrontation, and non-targeting of third parties, and the independent and peaceful foreign policy is the core cornerstone. More importantly, China's core appeal is to gain strategic time and space for adjustment. The Russia-Ukraine conflict has constrained the Western strategic focus in Europe, allowing China to focus on industrial upgrading, adjust internal contradictions, and accumulate strength for national rejuvenation. From a higher perspective, China does not want the United States to collapse quickly. If the United States collapses, there will be a power vacuum around the world. The integration of Europe, the expansion of Japan's military, and the reshaping of Russia's northern role will lead to chaos in the international order, which is not conducive to China's development. The current pattern of the United States maintaining order, Russia moderately consuming, and Europe unable to look east can minimize China's external consumption to the greatest extent possible. The ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine continues to increase the financial burden on Europe, accelerate industrial relocation and social fragmentation, and completely deprive it of the ability to intervene in the East. Russia is forced to move towards the East in terms of national power consumption, giving up energy and some market share. China is seizing this historical window to rapidly promote industrial upgrading, reshape the industrial chain, define market rules, and achieve basic strategic adjustment space. The cooperation of the United States is not a subjective will, but an inevitable choice of national strategy. To prevent complete elimination from Europe, the United States must strengthen its financial hegemony, consolidate its alliance system, and maintain the status of the US dollar through the Russia-Ukraine war. The essence of this game is cunning. Russia cannot be too strong, the United States cannot be too weak, the situation cannot be too chaotic or too stable, and this controllable crisis is the opportunity for China to break through. Nowadays, all parties are practicing their strategic demands in this game. The United States maintains hegemony, Russia adheres to the security red line, Europe is under passive pressure, and China accelerates its rejuvenation. The continuation of the Russia-Ukraine war is essentially a process of rebalancing the power of major powers, and China is taking advantage of this historical opportunity to make final strategic preparations for the comprehensive rejuvenation of the Chinese nation.